Sing it with me now. Although we've come to the end of the road. Sing it, y'all. Still I can't let go. I'm so sad. I'm so sad, y'all. R.I.P. to Mr. Derek Baldwin. Oh my goodness. Now, everybody may have had their own opinions of Derek throughout the time that he's been on the show, but the fact that we had so many opinions shows that he did his thing. Okay. As an actor, he did his thing. And as a character, he died a hero. I know a lot of us wasn't suspecting this. A lot of us was thinking that it was going to be Jacob on this flyer. Okay. Because it was a lot of stuff going down with the blood plasma ring. And we didn't know who was going to end up on this obituary. And shout out to the internet for making so many. Okay. There were some really good ones. This one was my favorite, but there were definitely some good ones out there. But yeah, y'all, he's gone. He's gone. He took the bullet for Jacob. And it's very ironic because he felt like he could no longer be a hero once he was forced to retire from being a firefighter because of his previous injuries. But that's exactly how he ended up going out, being a hero in a place where he wasn't even supposed to be. But we're glad that he got there, okay? Because it definitely would have been Jacob. Now, let me break down what happened. Okay, so let's set the stage. We're in the warehouse. Rashad, aka Jacob, is getting ready for the VIPs of the blood plasma ring to come through for a presentation, right? Ren told him that they're getting ready to take the operation outside of where they are because they know that the police is onto them. They know that it's a hot process. So they're trying to get to a different place to run the operation, right? Grayson was sent to the clinic to get more blood plasma because Dr. Leah said that they can now get their supply from the clinic as opposed to Garland Memorial if they had to stop doing it through Garland Memorial, right? So Derek, let's throw him in here, was already suspicious of Grayson, did not want him to volunteer at the clinic only because he didn't like how he dealt with Ashley and he thought that he was a shady dude. Now, Derek's instincts aren't always great, especially when it comes to Ashley because he's just trying to be her hero always. But in this case, he was right. Okay. He actually catches Grayson stealing the blood plasma from the clinic, says, "All right, I'm calling the cops on you." Grayson tells him, "No need. I'm working with the cops." Tells him that Jacob is in on this and he needs to leave right now and take this blood plasma to the Connect because if not, his life as well as Ashley's life would be in danger. Now, he knew that that would be the key for Derek because Derek don't care about nobody else but Ashley. So the moment he said Ashley's life was in danger, he was done. No more words. Grayson was able to get past him, take the blood plasma to the warehouse to Jacob and Ren, right? So now we got all three of them in the warehouse. Of course, Derek is Mr. Captain Save 'em. So he decides to follow Grayson to the warehouse where all of this is going down. No backup. Didn't try to call Jacob and say, "Hey, I know what's going on." Da 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 da. Nothing. Mr. trying to be a hero himself without any firefighter suits, protection, nothing, rolls up in the warehouse. Jacob spots him immediately, of course. They have a little kiki. He tells Derek, "You need to get up out of here, okay? The moment I give you the signal, get out of here. But until then, lay low." While Derek is hiding, Dr. Leah comes to the warehouse to see what's going on, right? She wants to get her eyes on the operation. Ren tells her everything is good. Rashad got everything on lock. She's like, "Oh, I need to meet this Rashad because he's the one that's been causing all this trouble with Grayson." So she sees Rashad. He tries to keep that hat low and his back turned to her. And she's like, "Turn around, look at me." The moment The moment he picks that hat up, she's like, Jacob Hawthorne? 1, 2, 3, go. Hey, Jacob, so I'm not up in this. I'm not a criminal at all. I'll give you all the information that you need to know. Just protect me in this. Okay. Don't let them get me. Don't let them get me. Leah immediately, whatever hard exterior she thought she had with dealing with this whole process was done. Okay. Completely out the window. She turned into a victim like that. Okay. She looked at Jacob like, please save me. Save me. No, girl. No, girl. You've been running with the big dogs. So now you about to pay like the big dogs. Okay. But anyway, she spots Jacob. In the process of that happening, Ren comes over and he's like, oh, Grayson must really be the rat, right? Take him out, Rashad. Take him out right now. Tells Rashad to take Grayson out at that very moment. While he's got his hand on the gun, trying to figure out how to maneuver this, there's somebody creeping up with a gun to shoot Jacob. All right. The only person that sees him is Derek. So, of course, Derek jumps in front of the guy and ends up getting shot. My goodness. And because Beyond the Gates loves a cliffhanger, that's how they ended the doggone episode. All we saw was Jacob laying on the floor in a pool of blood, not knowing if it was his or not. It wasn't. It was Derek's. Okay. He wakes up in the next episode. He's like, I'm good. I just hit my head because, of course, everybody was surrounding the warehouse. We had police officers outside. Detective Malone was with Chief Officer Elon, like the police was there. Okay. The police was there. But of course, they didn't do anything until they heard shots. They hear shots fired. They run in. Jacob's fine. Derek is hit in the stomach. They take Derek to the hospital immediately. He stops. Of course, he's in the hallway. And who's there? Ashley. The moment they, wheel him into the hospital, Ashley's there because, of course, she works there. She's in shock, like, what's going on? Derek straight up tells her, hey, I love you. Okay? I need this to be what you hear from me. I love you, period. They wheel him into surgery. All right? She's a mess, per usual. He's in surgery for not that long. All right? Naomi gets to the hospital. She's consoling Ashley. Derek's in surgery. The surgeon walks out and talks to Shanice. Ashley's like, something's wrong. Okay. Something's wrong. There's no reason for the surgeon to be leaving the spot that early, right? He hasn't been in surgery that long. Shanice turns around and we all break. Okay. The moment she turns around, her eyes are completely depleted. And without any more words, she gives a shake of the head. And everybody knows Mr. Derek is gone. And oh my goodness. Of course, Ashley breaks fully down. As she should, because deja vu. Come on. How many times did they have to wheel Derek into this doggone hospital? And now it's for the final time. The man is actually dead. And she's completely confused. Everybody's confused. Jacob is pissed, okay? Because he thought the operation was going to go down without a cinch. And if anything, he thought Grayson was going to get hurt. He did not think that his best friend would die, be killed in the process, right? So we're all shook. We're all shook. They got Leah in handcuffs at the hospital. She was able to maneuver herself because she's like, oh, I have a heart condition. And if I die here, it's going to be on y'all. So, of course, she gets taken to the hospital to get treated. But she's in handcuffs. Okay. She's cuffed to the bed. They don't care. She is now a criminal. Grayson is still free to go because he got that immunity when he told Jacob about Leah a few weeks back, right? So he's good. He gets to walk free, but he can't leave the state, of course, and he has to testify against everybody that is in this process, right? Ren is straight up arrested, okay? He's pretty much going down for almost everything because he's the one that's injured everybody in the process, and was calling for Jacob to kill Grayson. And of course, he's riding it to the end. He's like, oh, you a snitch? Rashad, you the snitch? Oh, I'm coming for you. So he still got a little target on his head. But yeah, plasma ring done. And in this process, we still don't know who the impaler is. After all that, Leah don't know his name, and it's probably going to be Ren to tell us. So now we still remain with the question, who is the impaler? It's definitely not Leah. Okay. If anything, she doesn't know jack. All right. Out of everybody here, she don't know nothing, apparently. Okay. So it's not Leah. Grayson is not it. Okay. He was obviously just working from the ground up. He even told Ashley that his story that he told her was true. He really did, you know, start working at the clinic, and Leah found out about his situation with his mother and how he needed the money. And she prayed on him and said, hey, you should work with us at this medical courier job, right? And he said, oh, I believed her because she's the head of the hospital. I didn't think that she was into nothing dirty. And of course, when he first started doing deliveries, it was legit until she pushed him into doing the blood plasma deliveries. And of course, by that time, he knew too much. She knew too much. He was in too deep, right? So he's not the impaler. All right. So now we got questions. We got so many questions now, and now anybody can fill in the gap. People are throwing in names. Of course, Joey is still an option because he's just dirty. He's just the bad man in town. So he could definitely be the impaler. Some people are saying Nicole is the impaler. Wild. I don't think so. Okay. It could be any doctor. It could be Carlton, right? Who knows who this impaler is? We're pulling at straws here. And the sad part about it is, if Ren is the only person that really knows who the impaler is, they're going to have to cut him a deal. And if he gets immunity, worst case scenario, he doesn't even get any jail time. Now Grayson and Jacob really got to watch their bats until he's completely gone somewhere else, if ever, because he already said, I'm coming for y'all. He knows that they are the ones that ratted him out in this whole process. So if Ren is the only one who specifically knows exactly who the impaler is, we are in a whole heap of trouble. Jacob is going to have to figure out who this impaler is once again, because giving Ren immunity is just horrible. He's obviously one of the worst links in this process. And if he goes free, there's a lot of people that could be hurt. Now, we got another surprise outside of Derek being taken out at the end of this past week. And let's talk about it. Do you do do you see what I see? Do you guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. Yo. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is this Casper the Friendly Ghost? No, it is not. It is the Doug McBride. Okay, now at the end of the very last episode of last week, Deanna, who's been throwing a fit constantly ever since Doug died, just had a conversation with Kat about dealing with her mother's shenanigans and the grief of her father being gone. And in the midst of her walking through the country club, she sees Doug, right? Doug says, she's like, is this real? Are you real? Doug says, why don't you come over here and find out for yourself? Now, the question is this real? A lot of us have been speculating that Doug was never really killed, right? When he was in that accident, they said that his body was so badly burned that he could not be identified, right? So there was nobody to go in the casket and no real identification of him being in that car. So him being alive right now is technically possible. But is he alive, or is he just alive in Deanna's mind? Right? She's been going through a lot. They've been talking about how Deanna has had some mental issues, da 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 da. And we've seen it time and time again when someone is distressed and how a loved one comes and speaks to them. So is this her envisioning him speaking to her from the grave, or is he actually here? And then if he is actually here, why? Why does he choose this time to resurface? Could it be that Doug is the impaler? Could it be that he's the one that's been running the blood plasma ring since before the mess with Joey? Because let's remember, he got into all the mess with Joey because he had such bad debt. He was in such bad gambling debt that he needed loans from Joey to get him out. So just like everybody else that was in the ring, he had money problems. So that justifies him being a part of this. And with him being a doctor, he had access to all of this plasma, right? What y'all think? What y'all think? Is he really here? Is he really here? Or is this, just a dream that we're witnessing of Deanna's? Or is he here and he's the impaler? Now I know that everybody has an attitude with Kat because they're like, "Oh my God, why does she still have all of this smoke with Eva?" And I we can deal with that. My annoyance with Kat is the fact that she can't sit still and keep her mouth closed when it comes to all of this detective work that Tomas needs to do for his job. Since when did Kat get a law degree? Criminal justice? Did she join the police academy? Like, why does she feel so entitled to be in these conversations between Tomas and Bill, between Tomas and any other clients, between any of Tomas's clients and herself? Like, she just dives headfirst into stuff that's not hers. We've seen this from the beginning, right? It was justified when she was going back and forth with Jacob about the case with Leslie and Laura, when she was trying to get Leslie caught for running Laura off the road, right? She was in her detective bag then and she was trying to move some evidence around and stuff. Even then she was insufferable, right? Jacob told her multiple times, "You need to stay out of police business. You are not a police officer. You don't have jurisdiction to do these things." Then she gets the same conversation from Bill when she first tried to insert herself into this whole Lynette case, right? And Bill was like, "Hey, you need to back up. Tomas is a lawyer. Tomas works for me. You do not. You do not have jurisdiction in these conversations." And of course, she still takes it as, "Oh, well, I can do what I want. And I'm going to need for Tomas to lay down the law." Okay. And the only way that he can do that is to stop discussing his work with Kat. She's not going to stop asking. She's not going to stop prying and being a part of something that has nothing to do with her. So Tomas needs to lay down the law and say, "Yo, we can't talk about work no more. You can't be around me when I'm having work conversations. You can't come with me when I'm talking to clients." Period. She is really overstepping her boundaries. And if they end up finding out about what really happened to Lynette and it's Kat that brings in the information, she could sabotage the whole situation. She's really getting on my nerves with all of this legal stuff, with this Lynette stuff. Like, Tomas needs to put her in her place before she ends up taking his place from being in this law firm. Okay. She might end up getting him disbarred if they find out how much she's been meddling in his work. Like, girl, you need to be worried about meeting his family soon and stop doing all of this. We did have some beautiful moments this week because we finally got to see the cotillion. It was beautiful. Everybody looked gorgeous. June, Chelsea, Naomi, Kat, of course, Danny and Nicole. Everybody looked great, right? And of course, so did Samantha and Jessica, being debutantes in the cotillion. And even Tyrell, he looked really nice in his suit, right? It was beautiful to watch. It was two parts, it was split into two episodes. And of course, there was scandal because it's Beyond the Gates. So why would it not? Okay. Everybody's been vying for the Platinum Deb, the princess part, right? We got to see Deanna McBride come back and crown her because she was a previous Platinum Deb a few years back when she was in the cotillion. Now, in the process of crowning who the Platinum Deb was supposed to be, there was some scandal, of course. Miss Francesca, who is Anastasia's granddaughter, created a coup. Now, we don't know if she did it with her date Nate, or if it was the grandmother who did it with Nate, or if Nate did it on his own. But either way, her drunk, horrible date wrote her name on a card and replaced it with the real winner's name in the envelope. The only reason why Deanna caught it is one, when she was a Deb, the card that had her name on it when she won Platinum Deb was signed by the instructor. Okay. The instructor wasn't at the cotillion because she was sick. So Deanna was the one that ended up reading the card, but she knew that the card wasn't official. And of course, in his dumb antics, he spelled Francesca's name wrong. In the midst of all that, he even spelled her name wrong. So she, even though her nasty grandma tried to push it past and say, nope, her name is on the card, she got it, she finally had a shred of dignity and took off the crown and the sash that her grandmother put on her, unrightfully so, and rightfully so put it on Samantha. So Samantha was crowned Platinum Deb, as she should have been. They said that it was based off of her peers' vote, which means that her kindness and loving demeanor actually did pay off. And I was so happy that June was there to see it. The whole family was there to see it. So it was a beautiful moment, so deserved by Samantha. And of course, we were happy that Anita was able to make it because she looked gorgeous. And thankfully, she wasn't too sick to be there. So all is well that ends well, right? Now, we were able to see Jessica be announced as well. And we know that Jessica never wanted to be in this cotillion. She's always said that she's only doing this because her pretentious parents are making her do it, right? So she wasn't happy about being a part of this process at all. She comes out and she does a little dance, a little twerk moment when they introduced her, and her parents were mortified. Okay, they were mortified. They were like, "Oh, you've embarrassed us enough, girl." Like, couldn't even give her props for looking beautiful and actually being there. Like, and she didn't even do that much. She just did a little 1-2, But they were like, "Oh, the disgrace." Of course, Danny found it amusing because she's not a debutante at all, and she was like, "Ooh, yes, drama." But the real scandal wasn't even just her popping and locking in her introduction. Her and Tyrell decided to get gone before they even named the Platinum Deb because she was over it. They go to her parents' beach house, her parents' vacation house, and they got it on, y'all. It wasn't her first time, but it was Terrell's, and it was shown because she definitely coached him through the whole thing. My goodness. Okay. And of course, her dad wants to approach Martin like, oh, your son done taken my daughter somewhere. Your daughter took his son somewhere. Okay. And of course, they still haven't found them. By the time they do, they already in relationship bliss. They probably somewhere walking on the beach chilling. Tyrell has really just been out in the wind with his love for her. Like, Jessica really just pushes him to do whatever she wants him to do, and he's just so gullible in love that he just does it. And now they in big trouble. He done ditched his security detail. When Martin and Smitty find them, hopefully they find them before Jessica's parents does, because I don't know what they gonna do when they find her. That's why she going to UCLA. He's over here with these puppy dog eyes like, oh, she's leaving me for college. No, she's leaving her parents. Okay, she's trying to get as far away as possible. And we all understand because, I mean, oof, they're the ones that acted horrible at the cotillion, not her. Like, be proud of your daughter. She was the only one that had a 4.0 out of all the introductions. Like, here she is, smart and gorgeous, and y'all just mad because she don't want to be pretentious like y'all. I don't know what y'all think. Did she do too much? The only constant about last week was Ashley crying her eyes out every episode. Okay. She was wearing that robe all week. And I mean, who can really blame her, right? She starts off with Grayson basically telling her that he's going to be taken out with this last mission, bringing all of his important papers and begging her to take care of his mother if something happens to him, which is wild. Okay. I know that they've had their own shindig going on for a minute, but they're not in love. Like, for him to be like, you're the only person I could come to, wild. Wild. Okay. You should have somebody, you ain't got no friends, no siblings, no cousins, no nothing to be like, hey, can you make sure my mom is good? No, it has to be your ex-girlfriend that takes care of your mother. Whoa, tough, right? So she has that whole situation. And then once Derek passes away, is killed, now, of course, she blames Grayson because she knows that he was only there because Grayson told him that her life was in danger. So now she fully blames Grayson for Derek's death, which fair, okay, because he really wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Grayson telling him that Ashley's life was in danger and for, him to follow Grayson there. So, yeah, Grayson does play a huge part in this, but Grayson didn't shoot him. Grayson definitely was holding the wound the whole time that he was in the warehouse waiting to get to the hospital, and he donated blood when he lost too much blood. He donated blood for the surgery. So it's not like Grayson is a bad person, right? He was just in a horrible situation, and Derek ended up getting the short end of the stick. And of course, Ashley is just completely over the top. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but when Grayson called her Ash and she's like, no one can call me that. Derek called me that. Girl, what other nickname do you get from Ashley? Lily? What is he supposed to call you? Like, girl, calm down. Okay, calm down. She is definitely overly emotional. Now it does suck that she had to tell his parents. She had to tell Derek's parents that he was gone. That's pretty sad. But she got a lot of comfort from Jan and Naomi. Even Andre and Danny went to see her. So she's gonna be all right. Ashley gonna be all right. I don't know how she's gonna deal with the whole burying of Derek situation. She's probably gonna have her hand very deep into the funeral plans. So we'll see that. But yeah, she'll be all right in the long run. Do you think she'll take Grayson back? No, she's not gonna take Grayson back. Let's not even play that game. The Academy Award definitely goes to Shanice this past week. Okay. One, she was the one to deliver the news that Derek was fully gone. And that was a completely inaudible scene, right? She didn't say any words. It was all emotion, face of her telling everybody that he didn't make it through surgery. Like, we all shattered just from her eyes. I mean, Ernestine, the actor's name is Ernestine Johnson, and I have the pleasure of knowing of her. Whoo! Yo, Shanice did her thing, okay? She did her thing in that scene. And then, of course, she's emotional. Of course, she's doing too much. So Ted asked for Nicole to talk to her, and she vents to Nicole and is like, yo, I know Derek and I didn't talk all the time, but we were good friends. And he did die a hero, but it sucks that he died, right? So she was able to get those emotions out, which is good because, she just can't keep that stuff bottled up. But then she goes toe to toe with Leah herself. And we've seen Shanice and Leah go back and forth as comrades, as, colleagues, to where she was like, oh, Leah, I got you, informing her of everything that's going on in the office. They kind of work well together, right? But Shanice walking into Leah's hospital room, she's handcuffed to the bed. And Shanice is like, how dare you? How dare you put Garland in this situation? And straight up tells her, you're not going to be the reason why Garland goes under. I will pick up the slack. I will make sure that the nurses are good. I will make sure that our patients are taken care of. I will do the thing. So it's really interesting when we're talking about her replacement, about Leah's replacement. Anita and Vernon think that Dr. Monica would be a good replacement, which I agree. I think she would do great. Ted suggested Nicole, and I don't mind that either, but I'm with Anita and Ted with the fact that she never wants to deal with anything administration or even be in the spotlight like that. So he needs to talk to her to make sure she actually wants to do it before he nominates her to the board, right? But what even about Shanice? Now, I'm not sure if Shanice is actually qualified because is she a doctor? I don't think she's not like a doctor, but she is like the top nurse practitioner, right? So could she like train to be head of Garland? I don't know. Who do y'all think should take Leah's position? I definitely like Dr. Monica and I think she would do great, but what do y'all think? In the midst of us still trying to figure out where Lynette is, we're finding out that Bill literally knew nothing about Haley before they got married. Like that prenup must really be ironclad. I'm talking secure, tight. Because how could you marry somebody and not know anything about them? Not even just that. You blew up your entire marriage with Danny, married Haley publicly, and forced Fairmont Crest to digest this marriage. Why? Why? He literally says to Haley, who do you confide in? Right? Because I know when we got married, you didn't even want to bring in any of your family or friends from Philly. What? So you knew back then that she didn't even want to deal with the people in her past, and yet you didn't have any questions? You just let that happen? Okay, so because she was Miss Damsel in Distress, and Danny wasn't. Danny's already Dupree. If anything, you were Danny's shortcoming by her leaving her modeling career to be your wife. So she never was the damsel for you to save, right? So you decide to leave Danny for somebody that you don't even know, have no background information on, know nothing about. You blow up your whole marriage and family for her. It's not clicking. Right? It's not clicking. Is Bill really this gullible? Is he really that deep into his ego that he was ready to marry Haley with no answers? Apparently, because he did. Even with the fact that it's still not clicking to him that Lynette is who Haley is constantly talking about. When she said, oh, yeah, well, I had a friend who was really more like a sister, but we lost contact before I came to Fairmont Crest. Ding, 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 Lynette. Bro. Like, who else is she talking about? She can't be talking about Randy, who you think is Sammy, and you still ain't put two and two together on that. I think he's enjoying the game now. Maybe he really doesn't. Maybe he really does want her to take him out. Does he know that she's still putting drops in his food, in his drinks? Like, she keeps pushing St. Bart's, and he's like, "Oh, well, you can't put me out the pasture yet, honey." She's trying. She's trying, Bill. She's really trying to take you out of here. And all you can think about is how you miss Danny in the good old days and how, you can't leave Haley because she's all you have. The ego is a scary place to live, okay? Y'all let me know. Maybe he really does love her and he loves being oblivious, or he knows the scheme. I don't know. It was definitely an eventful week beyond the gates. Okay. Fairmont Crest is on fire right now, and it's just going to continue. Who's the impaler? Will Martin win this race for Congress? Will he run for Senate? So much is coming up. And we have the merging episode of Beyond the Gates and The Young and the Restless coming. So there's so much on the way. I am so excited for what's to come. And now, of course, Anita is done with chemo. So we're moving towards recovery with that. Oh, just so many great things happening and so many questions to be answered. Let me know how you felt about everything that I've talked about. Hit me in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll meet you here every week. Beyond the Gates.